Oh boy, here we are again.
Love that image. Anyway,
Yeah.
the post Weirdo, 1990s. You did 4 issues of Hup, and now these overlap with Weirdo, actually.
That's me in the baby carriage over there. That's my relationship to women, basically.
Now you were still doing Weirdo when you created Hup, but I think you gave the Weirdo editorship over first to Pete Bagg.
Yeah. Then to Aileen, yeah.
Right.
I
Now-
decided to go back to doing my own books again after doing the thankless job of being editor.
And these were great. Again, you did great work.
Yeah.
You adapted Sartre's book.
Oh, John Paul Sartre, yes. Nausea.
I assume you really love that book.
It's great stuff, and lent itself very well to doing as a comic. Sartre had this very self-deprecating sense of humor. It's great.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's all these minute observations of daily life.
Well, I heard that he actually had taken some kind of powerful psychedelic drug, something, maybe it was mushroom psilocybin or something like that, that put him in this mental state that he wrote that book in.
Huh.
That's what I heard. I'm not sure.
It's very unlike his philosophical writing, which is sort of abstruse and dense and
that
hard
all
to get
came
through.
later, yeah.
Yeah. And then this is one of your best,
You like
craziest existential.
that? You like that?
Oh
Huh.
yeah. I mean, no one else could have done it.
Again, it's very Kurtzman inspired. These guys running around and like that. That's
Sure,
straight outta
sure.
Kurtzman.
Yeah, visually, but Harvey could never have done this.
He could have.
Well, he could have if he were a different artist.
Yeah, I remember in the early days when the underground comic thing was just getting off the ground. I remember a conversation with Kurtzman. I think Wilson was there, and like saying, "Come on, Harvey," and Spain was there. "Come on, draw some underground comics. You could, it'd be great. You'd be completely free." And he said, "I can't afford to do that. I can't afford it. I got a wife and family to support. I got a mortgage. I got a kid with special problems. Costs a lot of money, and couldn't do it.
Right.
It was too late for him. He was sunk."
In a way, that strip sort of harkened back to your earlier period because it was very unfettered, very free and liberating.
What was?
That previous.
Oh yeah, you think so?
Yeah, the universe. Yes.
Yeah, I guess I still had it in me then.
Yeah.
You're not bored yet? Should we? Let's wrap this up.
We'll move this right along.
Come on, wrap it up.
And then after Hup, you did 3 issues of a comic called Mystic Funnies.
Yeah, that was printed by you.
That's right.
In which you guys fucked up the color on the cover there.
We did?
Yeah. See the word funnies?
Right.
It was supposed to be red. And somehow they didn't do the red. And I know because I got the color proof back and somehow it came out yellow instead of red.
Really?
Yeah.
I was rereading these recently and I was I was taking note of how beautiful the covers were.
Yeah?
Right?
Well, good.
How beautifully printed they were.
Yeah, you did all right.
And again, this is one of my favorites of your strip.
Yeah?
Another kind of miserable but hilarious existential slog.
Right.
But
I was
inspired. It truly
good at
inspired.
existential slobs.
Starring the moron.
The moron.
Yeah. Now, was this done out of just a sense of futility, or?
Gosh, I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know. And of course, it degenerates into a sex fantasy like they all do.
Yep. Oh, this is something I had to ask you about.
Oh.
This is like a 6 foot tall.
Well, it's life size.
Life
It's kind of
size.
larger than life size, a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, it's a sculpture of Devil Girl. Maybe you could just talk for a minute about how that came about.
Wow.
It's made out of wood, correct?
Yeah.
And it was sculpted
Yeah.
by somebody in your French village.
Well, this guy, a French woodworker nearby, he made the basic shapes, and then I did all the detail work on it.
And how did you do the detail? I mean, did you actually have a chisel or a sandblaster or what?
I did some of it with woodworking tools, and some I did with this epoxy clay that you have about an hour and a half to work with before it turns really hard. And I did all the really tiny details with that. That stuff was really good. It stuck to the wood really hard, and you could work at really fine detail, just like plasticine clay. So.
I have a feeling I saw this in some stage of production, but maybe I'm just I was hallucinating that. I'm not sure.
I finished it in 1995, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
And what inspired you to do this in the first place, the sculpture?
I don't know. I guess it's my sexual obsessions.
Just move them in another
Inspired it.
direction.
Yeah, I thought, well, I'll try that. I'll try making a life-size statue of a girl, you know, in a contorted pose.
And was it creatively fulfilling to do this?
Yes, it was. But I'll never do again. Once was enough. It's very cumbersome. It's very heavy. You know, it's fragile. To move it around is really problematic. But I just sold it recently.
Oh, really? I swear I saw this somewhere. It's gigantic. I mean, it
Yeah.
must weigh a ton.
Weighs like 400 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
I sold it to somebody. Yeah,
Oops.
it really came alive while I was working on it. It was very strange. Oh,
All
okay,
right.
this is my latest opus. This is the biggest project I ever did or ever will do. Took 4 years of work. And basically it's just an illustration job. I illustrated the book of Genesis in the Bible. 200 pages. Every word, nothing left out. I don't know if the Bible means much over here, though. Oh, there's a guy who has a copy right there. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate the sales.
Now, when you say, we've talked about this at length, but when you say it's just an illustration job,
Yes.
you seem to be...
Any competent illustrator could have done it, you know? So the text is all there. It's just a matter of breaking the text down into comic panels, and you know, at what point to break it down. Then you know, any competent comic artist who knows how to do that. Some of them probably could have done a better job than me, you know.
Okay, now I'm a little puzzled by why you would do something that that you feel any competent cartoonist.
I'm a little puzzled myself.
Okay.
But part of it must be said. It was the money. I got paid well. That's part of it. And they proposed to pay me well for the. Originally, I just wanted to do Adam and Eve, and, you know, just do that one thing. And then this publisher Norton said they'd pay me a lot of money to do the whole thing, and I just said, hey, okay, I'll do it. Yeah.
Well,
4 years later,
we were
like,
deprived of 4 years of sex fantasies because of this.
yeah.
And I hope you won't prostitute yourself like this again.
It took it out of me. I don't know if I have much left in me after that.
So anyway, this is a great quote that I just came upon about a couple of weeks ago, and it just seemed so perfect for Robert. And we're going to end it on that. Can everybody actually read this?
That's good.
Yeah.
Nietzsche.
Little Nietzsche to end
Yeah. He's my
the
man.
session with.
He's my man.
Manfred.
My man Nietzsche.
So let's hear it for Robert Crumb. I think we'll take.
All right, thank you.
Questions?
Thanks for inviting me here. It's been very interesting to experience India. Went down, hung around Chandi Chowk. That was quite an experience. Chandi Chowk.
I guess just raise your hand if you'd like to ask
Any
Robert
questions?
a question.
Any answers? I could use some answers.
Raise your right hand for a question, your left hand for answers, and we'll just sit here and listen.
No questions, okay.
No?
So,
Okay.
bye.
Get back down here. Okay, do we have... We can virtually not see anything out here, but...
Yeah.
These lights are blind.
Okay.
The lights are blinding.
Yeah. Hi, Robert. Yeah, I'm here. So, beginning of the session, you said that you see yourself more as an illustrator than a storyteller. But we see in most of your works, your narratives are highly dense. Was that like a conscious effort, trying to compensate for, because you thought you were more of an illustrator than a storyteller? And one more thing is, we didn't speak much about your illustrations. I would like to know in particular about your work with someone like, you did a lot of album art covers for Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
You're one of the very few people alive today who's worked with Janis Joplin personally. So I want to hear something about that.
Well, your first question is very good, actually. I think that I did that density thing and all that stuff was because I was interested in the look of the whole page as much as I was in the story. Actually, maybe more so. And the way it looked, to me, was more important than actually what it was, what the story was, the line was about. So then, when I was in the early days, when I had that in mind, just having the way it looked to be most important, the story came easy. The story part seemed easy, but it was never, I couldn't tell a long involved story. Didn't interest me until much later after I became once again a linear Western person after the drugs wore off. The second thing about illustration stuff, I like doing, I'm really like lettering and layout and all that stuff, so I enjoy doing covers for albums and CDs and covers of books and stuff like that. I enjoy playing with lettering and all that, and making a nice cover. I love beautiful covers, To me, that's a really important art form, is the cover. Anybody else have a question? No? Okay.
Hi, Robert. Huge fan. Two questions. The first is, have you ever felt, a sense of guilt, if I may say, at deflowering the notion of what comics were?
Guilt?
That's one. And the second question is, given your affinity for shapely women, what do you think of Indian women?
What do I think of Indian women?
Yeah.
What do I think of Indian women? Ooh. Ooh. Well, there are many, many beautiful women here. Many beautiful women in this country. The country of beautiful women. Shapely, beautiful women. I don't know. I haven't been to the movies yet. I don't know what they do in the movies about that. No, they don't. Yeah? Oh. Mm. Okay, and I noticed the aesthetic is not so skinny as it is in like France. Oh, France is terrible. The women are just bones sticking out. They look like me with a wig on. It's awful. Terrible. Terrible aesthetic.
Any other questions?
The first part of the question, do you want to?
Well, I don't understand the other question that guy had.
Does he feel guilty
Never.
for deflowering the notion of what comics
Yeah,
were?
yeah,
That's kind of that's a
Guilty?
great way of putting it. You sort of shattered the whole idea that comics were just this adolescent medium. I think that's what you're asking, yeah. And
Gee, I
the way
never
that's
thought
true.
about it. Never thought of it. I guess I never really took credit for that. I don't see myself. I think, something was going to change in the comic thing. It was inevitable.
But don't you think you and the other cartoonists in the Undergrounds did exactly that?
Yeah, but if I hadn't been there, somebody else would have done it. I didn't think I was doing that.
That wasn't a goal.
No, not really. But when you take LSD and you just see the world in a different way, then you're going to use this medium that you grew up with as a kid, use it in some whole other dimension.
So no guilt and no credit.
No guilt, no credit.
Yeah. Hi, Robert.
Hello.
Hi. You spoke about the yuppies a little earlier. Do you
Yes.
have any plans to do anything on the financial crisis? Like Wall Street bailouts. Have you?
Graphic
What's
novel
going on in your
material here.
country right now?
I should do something about that stuff. I study it very closely. I'm really a conspiracy theorist. I have lots of
Right.
conspiracy theories. I believe that somehow the people at the top level of the American government were involved in the World Trade Center attack and all that. I don't think it was just Arab terrorists. I don't think it was just Al
I agree.
Qaeda. And lots of stuff. I think AIDS is a kind of a fraud. I think lots of things are conspiracies. But it's very hard for me to figure out a way to translate that into comics. It's a very difficult thing. I'm actually just been working on it in my head lately. Not sure about that, how to handle that. Because it's such heavy shit, and when people try and do comics about it, it's weighted down. You have to draw images of these politicians, and you got to explain things, so you have the heavy text, So I've kind of been avoiding that for decades just by doing very personal autobiographical stuff, and reflecting my life experience personally that way. So to actually attack those things, for one thing, you got to really know what the hell you're talking about. You better really study it and read up on it. Otherwise, you're just going to sound ignorant,
But you're doing that. You're reading deeply into
I am, yeah. I've
contemporary.
been reading a lot and studying that stuff. I know more than anyone ought to know about the chicanery and shit that goes on, you know. It's,
When you do that, do you take notes? How do you process all of that?
I've got all kinds of files. I don't even want to tell you. I don't even know about my files and my archives and my evidence. I'm gathering evidence.
Thank you.
But
Hi. I had a question. You've done all sorts of works, from subversive comic books
Yeah.
to what surprisingly turned out to be the Book of Genesis, which was, I mean, entirely surprising. So
yeah.
you indicated that it was largely unplanned. Now my question is,
Yeah.
what plans for the next 5 years, 10 years? I don't know.
What are my plans for the next
Yeah.
5 or 10 years? I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. I can't tell you. Don't know.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, I just might retire. I don't know. Spend my my golden years collecting 78s and sitting in my study and reading and having museum shows. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably keep working. I don't know, somehow or other.
Oh, you need one, don't you?
I'm not finished yet. I'm getting arthritis, but it's not too bad yet. All right, anybody else?
out here?
No, that's it? Okay. A question from a girl? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, here comes. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah.
I saw some of your son's artwork in there. And I'm just wondering what's happening there. Is something coming out there?
For my son? Oh,
Is he pursuing his art as
yeah. She
passionately
said she
as-
noticed in the movie about me that my son could draw very well.
Yes, yes.
And
He's my generation, so I have to.
oh yeah. Well, he's
More
like
chances.
43 now, actually. Yeah. So he's very talented. He can draw really well, and but he's not. I think he's obsessed with a kind of like competing with me or having to live in my shadow, and that's really hung him up and made him really neurotic about his work. It's really too bad. So he's not doing as much work as he ought to. He doesn't do as much. Yeah, he's done some beautiful stuff, but doesn't do enough to really make a name. You know, there's other people in my family that draw well. My daughter Sophie draws really well, and she had the same problem. She started running up against this thing of people comparing her to me and everything. It became a big problem, so she just stopped doing it. And then my brother Max, who is also an artist and does these crazy oil paintings.
Yeah, I've
and
seen some of them, and
yeah.
they're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's actually getting well paid now for his oil painting, which is really nice because he lives a very simple life, you know.
Right.
He's lived in the same hotel room in this poor neighborhood in San Francisco since 1980. But he does beautiful work and beautiful paintings, and he has a waiting list. He works very slow, takes him a long time, but he can sell every one he does for $4,000 to $8,000, something like that. So he does okay.
Living in your shadow can go either way.
Well, he just persisted, and he's so far out there in his own world that he doesn't seem to affect him.
Right.
I saw him sitting on a bed of nails, and that's what, because he likes to inflict pain on himself, and I saw in the movie that he used to sit on this bed of nails.
Yeah, he did. He had a bed of nails.
Yeah.
He very much admired the Hindu sadhus. He modeled himself after the sadhus, and but I think he gave up his bed of nails recently. I think he sold it to some collector. But he still meditates. He can meditate in the lotus position for 12 hours straight.
I'd just like to tell you that you're a great inspiration to anybody who's drawing, and it's a mirror. Actually, what is happening in America back in the 70s and the 80s, it's sort of mirroring itself in India right now.
Really?
Because of the markets opening up, and a lot of your old work is now making sense to us much more than it would earlier to Indians. when the markets weren't open. So
Incredible. Amazing.
thank you for drawing,
Wow.
and thank you for being depressed and depraved, or whatever people call you. So
All
thank
those
you.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm depressed, depraved, bewitched,
else?
bothered, and bewildered.
I can't see much.
Anybody else?
Wave,
Yeah.
wave your arms. if,
Okay.
So, do you have? Do you follow any contemporary artists or cartoonists?
Yeah, there's lots of interesting cartoonists around now, all over the place. So I try to keep track of what's going on with comics, with young people. And one of the most interesting things I've seen here is that guy that's getting all these amateurs to draw comics from countries like Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Is incredible, that stuff. I love to see that amateur comics like that from those countries, like women talking about their problems out of those places like Pakistan. It's incredible. That's a great thing that guy's doing. Great service. Love that. Okay.
Anyone else has any questions?
Okay.
Wrapping it up.
Okay. That's that? All right. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You can go now. You can go have your dinner.